Hello everyone, this is Dan Gramza and welcome to dangramza.com Market Studies for Monday, April 28th. Well, interesting week in these stock indices. We're looking at the S&P 500. We talked about the fundamental drivers behind these markets in the advanced video, but let's take a look at what's going on here. If you're not familiar with these videos, you're looking at a daily chart in a candle format. I use what I call behavioral Japanese candles, where we're looking at not so much candle patterns, but structure, behavior that created those structures. Now, if you see a green line, it means buy, red line means sell, a dash line means that something has happened earlier in the week. These are not buy and sell recommendations, but just ideas that I want to share with you. Now, also, you can go back over 10 years if you want to see my commentary and how these lines have changed over time. So what do we see here? This implies what I call a false sense of security in the S&P. It's not the stronger close I was looking for. This implies an inside slightly higher movement for Monday. A dollar difference down here in that red to green line, just to give you a feel for that. So you have an idea of, if you're not familiar with futures, how these trade. That's $500 a contract. The buy level to the sell level there, $3,700 a contract. Now this market traded just a bit below that sell level. That means if I was a seller here, this failed. And as we talk about in the foundation course, it's critical to always manage risk anytime you and I establish a position. And if we look at what's happening in the NASDAQ market, we had a few movements here from the sell to the buy level. That was $9,320 a contract. It's structurally very similar to what you just saw in the S&P and the Dow market. Also, let's get that up here. This implies a sideways type movement. $5,305 is the dollar difference here between the buy and sell levels. Just give you one of those. There's a few there. Russell, a dollar difference buy to sell level in that market is what was that? That was $1,400 a contract. Again, false sense of security. So we're looking for an inside to higher movement. Be careful here, though, if you're on the long side. Well, let's talk about currencies, and we'll go back here to the euro. So this is the euro dollar that we're looking at here. And in that market, the difference between the buy and sell level there is $100 a contract. Look for an inside day on Monday. The dollar is trying to figure out what to do. And what you're seeing here in the Swissy, it was getting weaker against the dollar. But it's what I call a neutral zone trade. I'm looking for a sideways move in that market. $1,175 was the difference between that sell and buy level in that market. Mr. Yen also broke to the downside. Difference between the buy and sell level there, $1,750 a contract. Further weakness is expected. However, an inside day, a sideways movement, would not be surprising in that market. Aussie dollar continues higher, but it's struggling at these levels. Look for a sideways move. Be careful on the long side. Dollar difference buy to sell level, $540 a contract. British pound. Well, the difference between the buy and sell level on that rally was $2,712.50. Follow through to the upside. I'm looking for a sideways move in that market. check out what's going on. The Canadian dollar also implies a sideways move in that market. Bitcoin continues its march to the upside. Be cautious though, because at levels that we have found sellers before. Now in treasuries, 10-year note, dollar difference here in that market. Just to give you a clue about what that represents, that's $93.75. I look for follow through to the upside, but more likely we're at levels that we found sellers, so I'm looking for sideways to higher. Same thing here in bonds. If you look at that market, dollar difference, sell to buy level in that market. Let me give you that one too. That's $350 a contract. Well, gold, dollar difference, buy to sell level in that market, $2,400 a contract. That's not correct. Dollar difference from this buy level to that sell level, it's $30,100 a contract. The difference between the sell and the buy level here on the bottom, that was $2,400 a contract. Look for a sideways move. This is a market that there's a lot of expectation for higher prices, but so far it hasn't been met. If you look at silver, dollar difference there, $6,550 a contract, and again, I'm looking for a sideways move. Copper is in a neutral zone, and sideways movement is what it implies. Even though it broke lower on Friday, dollar difference buy to sell level there in that market is $11,250 a contract. Well, crude oil, sideways move is what I'm looking for. There's no strong reason at this point for a big rally or break. Dollar difference sell to buy level in that market, $290 a contract. Now, nat gas continues lower because we have a lot of nat gas and we're not seeing the demand there. I feel the same way about soybeans. We've seen a lot of mixture in terms of fundamentals, and it's reflected here in that market. Same thing holds true, I think, also for corn. A dollar difference sell to buy level in that market, $250 a contract. I don't look for big follow through to the upside. Feel the same way about wheat. If you look at the global situation, I don't think there's any reason for a big move up or down on Monday. Dollar difference sell to buy level, $750 a contract. Well, those are my thoughts for today. I hope you found something helpful. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Look forward to being with you again next week. In the meantime, take care.